Hey guys, Chris Reed here, and I want to talk to you about the significance of being and maintaining happiness amidst unhappy circumstances. Keeping your joy when there's a bunch of depression all around you. How do you have peace when there's turbulence all around you? Well, Jesus showed us the example. He rose up and he spoke out of his mouth into a raging, violent storm, waves battering against the ship, wind and seas and rain, and he said, "Peace, be still." Now, how could he speak peace into his environment unless he first had it within? See, a lot of times you create your environment by your words. You can alter or change your environment by your words. And when Jesus said, "Peace, be still," the reason why he could positively affect his environment and speak peace into the surroundings is because he only could produce externally what was first internally. I believe the Apostle Paul in the book of Acts chapter 26, who stood before King Agrippa, the Bible says that in Acts chapter 26 verse 1, check me on this, Paul comes out of a prison cell. I'm sure that prison cell was dark. I'm sure that prison cell was gloomy, and he was chained and fettered, and the Bible says he comes out and stands before a pagan king, and the first thing he does is in verse 1, he stretched forth his hand. That speaks volumes to me. Here he just left a dungeon, a prison cell, and yet he comes out and stretches forth his hand. Notice it didn't say he pointed his finger. It didn't say he shook his fist, but it says he stretched forth his hand of compassion. When Paul should have been the one receiving compassion, he was the one showing it. Why? Because there may have been bad circumstances around him, but not within him. There may be a storm brewing around you, but there can be peace within you. And when you speak externally what is already internally, you can affect your circumstance. He stretched forth his hand. Many of us, we would have folded in the towel, we would have come out and complained, and we'd have shook our fist, or we would have pointed our finger in anger or frustration. But Paul stretched forth his hand because there was a peace of God that passed all understanding within him. And in verse 2, while he's standing there in chains, he says these words, "I think myself happy." That is so powerful to me because I think myself happy. Leaving a prison cell with chains on his hands, he said, "I think myself happy." If you can think yourself happy, you can think yourself sad. You can think yourself depressed. You can think yourself discouraged if you allow your external circumstances to dictate your internal circumstances. But he said, "I think myself happy." And really, can I say this to you today? Your circumstances, whatever negativity or bad you're going through, your circumstances don't have you down. It's your thoughts about your circumstances that have you down. I read about a man several years ago. They were working in boxcars, and he was always afraid that at closing time he would get locked in these cold, freezing boxcars. Well, sure enough, one night they locked him in, and his fear became a realization, and the next morning they come out and they found him dying he froze to death. But coincidentally, the boxcar was unplugged. The freezer wasn't even on. What's the significance of that? He thought himself to death. Yeah. He believed, no matter, even it was, and by the way, they checked the room temperature. When they found him, it was 62 degrees. 62 degrees, but yet he froze to death. Why? Because the power of the mind. You can think yourself to be sad, think yourself to be happy, think yourself, no matter what your surroundings are. I think it was Paul that said these words. He says, "Whatsoever things are true, honest, virtuous, a good report, think on these things." You have control over your thought life. And when you can control your thought life, you can control your surroundings. Hey, if we're not Facebook friends, click my name up there, send me a friend request, and share this. Somebody needs these words of encouragement. It can change their life. God bless you. Have a great day.